My definition of love bombing is when you meet someone and from the beginning, they inundate you with lovely, I love you messages. You're the best thing since sliced bread. I want to spend the rest of my life with you. They text you all the time. They call you all the time. They FaceTime you. They spend a lot of time with you. They buy extravagant gifts for you. They do extravagant gestures for you. And it's like a dream come true. You think it's the best thing ever, but it's all a lie because you'll find out later on when they go through the other processes that narcissists do that it wasn't genuine. It was all a means to their madness to try to control you.
Welcome to another episode of Negotiate Your Best Life. I'm Rebecca Zung, and I'm super excited today to welcome Mara Hall, who is an actress. And I mean, she has done it all. And now she is adding author to her list of major accomplishments. And she's been on all kinds of TV shows, including all kinds of ones that I've watched myself, including Scandal and Grey's Anatomy. And she's been on Oprah Winfrey Network and all kinds of really cool stuff. But now she is getting ready to release her first book. Actually, by the time this airs, her first book will already be out, called Love Bombing. And it's all about her experience with a nasty narcissist. So she's going to get into it all and how you can heal from narcissism. So welcome, Mara. So excited to have you here.
Thank you, Rebecca. Thank you so much for having me here. Hi, everybody.
And you are just the best. And you had me on your Instagram and podcast, and we already had an amazing conversation. So I'm so excited to call you my friend and have you in my world. And you are just, I love your light and your energy, and you're just amazing. So,
Thank you. I appreciate you so much. You are so fabulous and so strong. And like we are working together to rid the world of all these narcs.
I know exactly. Exactly. So, first of all, you have had an amazing life. So, tell us a little bit about you and your background and I mean, you were on Grey's Anatomy and Scandal. I mean, like, tell us all about your life in general. Like,
Sure. So I am born and raised from Detroit, Michigan. I had the amazing experience of growing up there and eventually went on to college where I was a music education major at Jackson State University and I was in the band. I played the clarinet and the tuba. And eventually I started teaching music in Michigan and in Mississippi and in Georgia. And I just lost my passion for music and started acting. This is the short version of the bio. Started acting, packed up my 2004 Ford Focus, and drove from Detroit, Michigan, all the way to Los Angeles, California. This was in 2007 to pursue a career in acting. And I stayed there for 16 years. After 2 weeks of me living in Los Angeles, I got my first agent. Maybe the same year, I started doing TV, reality TV, a TV show on ABC called Dance Machine, and then Dance Your Ass Off on Oxygen. And that was where I was able to become Googleable. And I got my first manager. Her name was Lynn Badgley, Penn Badgley's mother of Gossip Girl. And she got me my first TV job on Nickelodeon's Victorious, where I played Andre's crazy cousin Kendra. From there, I just kept the ball rolling, kept working hard, networking, studying my craft, to eventually doing a casting director workshop. And with Jamie Castro, one of the casting directors for Grey's Anatomy, I ended up doing 7 episodes of Grey's Anatomy as Nurse Kathleen. And from there, my career just took off. I kept working, kept grinding, kept hustling in Los Angeles till I booked a role on the Oprah Winfrey Network, Ambitions, as a series regular as Darcia Lancaster, the cousin that you love to hate. And that eventually relocated me to Atlanta, Georgia, where I live now. And I was on that TV show. And that was my 2 minute short version of me being a musician to transitioning into acting. And now I'm in Atlanta and I am living my best life as a mother to a beautiful 4-year-old toddler, Marley Nicole.
Beautiful. Okay, so how did a narcissist enter your life?
Rebecca, what's really interesting is that I've been dating, been around narcissists my whole life, but didn't know that's what they were. And it's really interesting this time around. It was during the global pandemic. I was on a live streaming app and I met a gentleman that pursued me romantically and we started dating. And from there, he started love bombing me. And I figured out as the relationship went forward that it wasn't genuine. And the only way that I knew how to heal from it was by journaling and, writing a book about it.
So tell us what your definition is of love bombing.
My definition of love bombing is when you meet someone and from the beginning, they inundate you with lovely, I love you messages. You're the best thing since sliced bread. I want to spend the rest of my life with you. They text you all the time. They call you all the time. They FaceTime you. They spend a lot of time with you. They buy extravagant gifts for you. They do extravagant gestures for you. And it's like a dream come true. You think it's the best thing ever, but it's all a lie because you'll find out later on when they go through the other processes that narcissists do that it wasn't genuine. It was all a means to their madness to try to control you.
And usually it's pretty quick that you find
Yes,
that out. So tell
it's
us about
pretty quick.
that.
It's very quick that you find that out because maybe we're talking a month and at in the first 2 weeks, everything moved very, very fast. And then that person wanted to come visit me at my house during the pandemic. I let him come here. And then immediately when he left, things changed. It was like night and day. He wasn't calling me as much. He wasn't texting me as much. He wasn't telling me these wonderful things anymore. It was like immediately things changed and it started the devalue and the discard process of what narcissists do.
Okay, so tell us about devalue and discard. Let's go to devalue next.
Yeah, so with my set narcissists and all narcissists, because birds of a feather flock together, they all do the same thing. With the devalue process, everything that I did wasn't good enough anymore, or I was becoming worrisome, or I was calling too much, or I was needy. Whereas I just talked to you last week all day for 7 hours, but now you don't have time for me, or you're working all the time. Whereas before you had all the time in the world to call me. You call me all day, all night. We would be on the phone all day, all night, but everything changed now. So I wasn't good enough. I don't really think he would say that I would have issues, that I had unresolved issues like with my parents and just tried to downplay me or make me think that I wasn't good enough all of a sudden where before I was his princess, his queen and saying, different terms of endearment like that. And it immediately changed.
Right. And and then how is it that narcissists get people to then stay in their world because they devalue right away and all of a sudden you're needy, they're lying, they're ghosting you, they're not showing up. Why wouldn't people just immediately go, I don't need this? How do people get that? How do narcissists get people to stay there?
How do they get, well, for me and just in general, in that love bombing stage, that is very addicting. It's like it's synonymous to you being addicted to crack or addicted to heroin where you're on a drug, you're in a euphoric feeling, so you always want to feel that feeling. And as soon as say something, because that happened when I was going through the devalue stage, in the discard stage, where I saw something wasn't right and things weren't adding up. It seemed like he was bipolar or he had like some personality issues. I didn't know what it was, but I just knew something was wrong. And me and him got into like a really, really bad argument. And he was yelling at me at the top of his lungs. He was just really acting like Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde. And I said, this is too much for me. I wish you nothing but the best. God bless you. Good luck. And at that time, I'm like, I'm about to move on because something is wrong here. And that's immediately that night, he started to gaslight me and love bomb me again. And so, because you already had that initial euphoric love bombing period where you're already bonded with this person or trauma bonded with them, when they're saying these things again, because you're a natural empath and you're believing what they're saying to you because you tell the truth, you would think someone else would tell the truth. So you get sucked back into it. And then it starts over and over again and they keep it going. So like I remember vividly being on the phone like, am I in the twilight zone? Why is this person saying all these things to me? And now he's calling me at 2 o'clock in the morning saying, oh, you're going to leave me, you're going to make me get another woman. I thought you said you love me. I thought you said you want to spend the rest of them. You just called me everything but a child of God 3 hours ago, sir. What is going on here? And so I didn't know anything about narcissism. I didn't know this is what people do. So I didn't know.
Right. They know how to manipulate you. They know exactly what to say.
Mhm, mhm.
Right. And
Yes.
they future fake you.
Yes.
And they
Yes.
say exactly what they know you want to hear so
Absolutely.
that you'll stay.
Absolutely.
And it's
And it
this
worked.
rubber band thing that they
Mm,
push you to the edge and then they snap you back in. Right.
yes. And this happened to me at least 30 times, where we would get in an argument or I would try to leave him alone. And I still didn't know he was a narcissist, still didn't know. And he, like you just said, the pushing and the pulling and the devaluing and the discarding and then the gaslighting, it was total BS the whole time. It's like, if you say you want to do something, if you want to be with me, then be with me. The next stage that happened was we he was
But
coming.
I wanted you to explain that because I want people to understand, people who aren't in relationships with narcissists, to understand, well, why don't people just leave? If they're treating you badly,
Yeah,
why don't you just leave? And because a lot of people I think that. And I want you to explain it's just so not that easy. And and I think it's really important that you explain why it's not so easy to just go, "Oh, yeah, I'm just going to be out of here, you know.
it's not easy, because I would talk to my mother about it and she wouldn't understand. Just why can't you just let it go? Why can't you just leave him alone? And you if it was a regular relationship, that's exactly what would that's what you would do in a regular relationship. But this is not a regular relationship. This is something that I feel is very demonic, very toxic. And anytime you try to leave, their sole mission is to control you, to use you for their narcissistic supply because they're empty and soulless on the inside. So they don't want you to leave because they're sucking all your goodness away from you. Okay. And every time you have an interaction with them, they're pulling that energy, they're pulling your vibe, they're pulling all of your inner goodness and they're using that to fill themselves up. So that's one thing. Another thing is that anytime you try to leave them and you try to move on down the road, they're going to do many different tactics to pull you back in and to grab you back in just so they can have you under their thumb. It's the sickest thing I've ever encountered because I literally can tell you, I'm like, why won't this person just leave me alone? And then they would have other people that they're talking to, that they're dating. He had a whole girlfriend I didn't even know anything about. And then he would have several other people that he's talking to at the same time. So why are you bothering me? Leave me alone. I've said, leave me alone. I want to go on with my life. Every time I try to go on with my life, he's pulling me back in. I love you. Don't leave me. All of this. And every time, for at least the first 10 times, you want to believe it because you really, from the love bombing stage, you really are in love with this person.
Mm-hmm. And
You
you want to
really,
believe somehow on some level
Mhm.
that maybe they do love you, maybe they do think that you're special, that you do have something that's real.
Yes. Well, you think it's real. You think I thought it was real. I thought, I was the Bonnie to his Clyde because he was artistic. He was into artistic endeavors. And I was an actress. I was going to be his muse. I just thought he was like the best thing ever. And I really thought that this was my guy. This was my man. Would be my potential soulmate. But it was all a lie. It was all a lie. And it as the process kept going on and on and on and into a year later, and he's still doing the same things, it's like enough is enough. You start writing about it, you start researching, you start finding wonderful people like yourselves, like you on Instagram and on Facebook, where you see, okay, I'm not crazy. This is a thing. This is real. This person is systematically trying to manipulate me and trying to take control of me and is literally playing me to the left. And once you realize that and you see everything that's going on, you're like, okay, I'm not crazy. I'm just going to have to figure out a way to heal from this and move on.
Yeah. And what was that moment for you?
I knew when we were on we were on the apps and he was trying to embarrass me having his flying monkeys, and those are terms for people that are advocates for the narcissist to take up for them, that believe everything that they say, and they attack you in the process because they're trying to defend the narcissist. When he sent his flying monkeys out to me, I knew that something was wrong. Why would this person try to embarrass me? Why would this person try to harm me when I'm just trying to go on my way? I think the worst thing that you can do to a narcissist is expose them.
Mm-hmm.
And from the beginning, once I saw that he was, first I called him a love bomber because that was the first term that I found. But as I saw that he was a narcissist, I was really working hard to say, hey, this person isn't right. Okay. But at the same time, he was starting a whole smear campaign against me, saying that I was crazy, that I was psycho, that I was stalking him, and all of these lies, where people would literally believe him until I started recording the conversations that we would have. And I started doing that because no one would believe the things that I'm saying because they're believing him. They're not believing me. They think I'm a stalker. They think I'm crazy, and I'm not. And it just, enough became enough. I started journaling because I literally thought I was losing my mind. And my friend, I would talk to a small amount of friends because people wouldn't believe me and they didn't understand what was going on. So you couldn't really talk to a lot of people about what was going on because people would get frustrated. A couple of people stopped talking to me because they said that talking about this was triggering for them or it was too negative. And so there was a small amount of friends that I could talk to. And one of them told me, like, Mara, you should just write this down. And it sounds like you're in a whole like telenovela of a soap opera. This could be this could be a
Yeah,
movie. This could be,
exactly. I
you
mean,
know,
that's what it's like living with them.
that's what it's like. And Rebecca, what's really interesting is that the relationship that I had with this narcissist was only 2 months long, but it felt like it was 2.5 years long.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I was in a business partnership with a narcissist. And when I realized that from beginning to end, it was only 1 year, I
Yeah.
couldn't believe it because it felt like 10.
10 years.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I believe it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so how did you get out of it then?
Um, truthfully, to this day, he still contacts me.
Mm,
I blocked him. I actually have to go to court against my narcissist because it's just a big deal for me to advocate for myself, because he owes me a substantial amount of money. And I had to prove to myself that you can't do this to people, that there are consequences and repercussions. So I'm going to take you to the highest extent of the law. Have I tried to rectify the situation or, have a compromise? Yes. But he called me out my name and told me to take him to court. Okay. Just unfortunately, it's taken 2 years for that court case to come around in New York City. So,
mm. Well,
so
That's what
Yeah.
happens, right?
Yes.
So what made you decide to write a book?
I started to write the book because it was the only thing that I could do that made me feel better, to take a stance. Like everything that was happening on the app, everything that he was doing to me, I felt powerless. The abuse that I was getting from him, from his friends, from his flying monkeys, I didn't know what else to do but write about it and write a book about it, because that was my way of saying, hey, you can't do this to me. And I'm going to show you why you can't, because I'm going to write about it. And so that's what started me down the path to write it. I didn't really know how to write a book. So I enlisted a writing coach, AJ Joyner of Biloxi Books. He helped me out with that, starting that. But then when he started to read the book, he said, Mara, this is really good. And you can use this as a tool and a vessel to help other people not go through the same thing that you went through. So that's when I started adding all of the narcissistic terms to it, where at first it was just based off of what happened off of my experiences. But then I added things to it. I added a lot of fictional elements. You know, I'm an actress, so my mind wanders and it goes way to the left. So I started adding bits and pieces from other encounters with narcissists into the book as well.
Mm. And why did you decide to write a book about narcissism instead of acting?
That's a good question. You know, there are so many acting books out there, and I think we are flooded with acting this, acting that, entertainment this, entertainment that. Um, I never knew about love bombing. I never knew about narcissism. I felt like it was an untapped genre, or and people don't know about it, and they do know about it but they don't talk about it, especially in the African American community. A lot of times we'll just gloss over it, like, oh, that's just Tyrone, you know, he's mannish, or you know, his mama didn't raise him right, you know, this is. And so we flip it under the rug and we don't really talk about it. But I really felt that it was important to have it come from a perspective from someone like me, that you would think has everything together but still would be a victim to this type of abuse.
Yeah. And one of the things that I like to do is I like to get people to actually verbalize how they felt when they were at their lowest, because I think it's important for people to feel what other people were feeling, and actually understand that it's not just them. So when you were at your lowest, can you verbalize some of the things that you were feeling? Because you just used the word powerless, and I think when people hear that that's how you felt, people are going to go, oh yeah, I felt that way too. So
Yeah.
can you just verbalize some of the other words like that you felt at your lowest?
Powerless. I felt like I was possessed under a demonic spell of this person, where all I could think about was them and why they didn't love me and why they would do this to me. I felt uh, I felt black, a black hole of deceit and deception, and I felt sorrow, I felt pain, I felt misery. I I wouldn't wish. I felt powerless. I felt hopeless. I felt like this would never end. I felt like literally I was about to die.
Mm, yeah, that's just so. Thank you for being willing to be so vulnerable and
Yeah.
sharing that. I mean, it takes a lot of courage to come out and talk about that and share that. And so I really appreciate you being willing to do that, because I think it takes a lot of courage to do that. I mean, I know for me, I didn't want to talk about it for the longest time, because I'm over here going, I'm supposed to be strong, I'm supposed to be powerful, I'm supposed to be this badass attorney, but I felt like it was in sharing my story like that it helped a lot of people,
Right.
because for me it was like I would wake up in the middle of the night, I'm thinking about it. I would wake up in the morning, I'm thinking about it. As I'm waking, brushing my teeth, I'm thinking about it. I'm walking the dog, I'm thinking about it. It's like you just like it takes over your thoughts.
All of
You
your thoughts.
literally all the time. You just you become obsessed,
Yes.
obsessed.
Yes.
You know,
Obsessed to the point of a ritual of following what he's doing on social media. If he was on the live streaming app, watching his every move, watching his girlfriend, watching the other girls that he's dating, seeing what they're doing, seeing if they're saying anything. I mean,
because you feel like they're out to get you.
they're out to get you, and then you, because the empath in you want to help the other person that's involved with him, let them know, hey, abort, abort, get away from him. He's
Yeah, I
he's
mean,
not.
like, oh my God, you know.
Mhm.
So, do you feel like you've healed now?
I am probably like at 80%. I'd say 75%. I'm a lot better. I still have a long way to go. I'm in therapy. I This has been therapeutic, just talking on different platforms and being on Instagram, and just the community that we have, the narcissism community, and just how much me telling this story is helping other people, and the things that they're writing is so needed, like, because people just don't have an outlet as to why this is happening or how they can get out of it, and I know that I am making an impact, and that's all I wanted to do.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And what do you hope that readers take away from your book?
I hope that readers will see the signs of a narcissist from reading my book. Like, they can recollect and say, oh, that's what happened in Mara's book to Heather. Oh, that's when Kyrie did X, Y, and Z. Oh, wait a second. This guy is talking to me too much and he's like laying it on thick. Whoa, is he love bombing me? Because my friend said, Mara, I think a guy I dated, he was trying to love bomb me. She said
Yeah.
that to me like a couple of weeks ago. I said, well, how did you know? He told me that he wanted to get married to me. I was like, yep, run, Forrest, run, stay
And
away.
run for the hills,
Run for
right?
the hills. Yeah. So that's what I would like for people, just to see the signs so that they don't have to go through this.
Yeah. And
Hmm.
protect themselves.
Protect themselves and protect their family and their friends, just to bring more awareness to it, so people are cognizant of who what because there's a lot of selfish people out here. So there's a difference between someone being selfish and someone that being self-absorbed and being a narcissist.
Yeah, absolutely. And so where can they find it? Where can they find out more about you?
So I would love if you guys would follow me on my social media platforms. That would be at Mara_Hall on Instagram, and then at Love Bombing the Book on Instagram. And you can also find anything love bombing on my website at www.lovebombingthebook.com. You can purchase it there, and you can also purchase it on Amazon and also Apple Books.
Yes. And we will have all the links in the show notes as well. So go check her out, check out her stuff, follow her. She's amazing and get her book. So thank you, Mara. Hope it
Thank you.
sells lots and lots of copies for you. So excited for you and
Thank you,
hope it helps
Rebecca.
lots and lots of people. So thank you.
Thank you for having me.
All right.